YouTubers? It is I, Zaferino, Masterino, Al Pacino. Today we are going through element number 10 of the Footsies Handbook in our Footsies Hand Guide series. So we've gone through a bunch of elements, talked about various things. We talked about hop kicks, we've talked about walking forward, we've talked about punishing over aggression, managing meters, all sorts of jazz like that. You can catch those in the YouTube playlist that we'll have provided for you guys. So today what we're going to be talking about is I believe it's taking advantage of overexertion. I think it's something along those lines. I could be wrong, but we'll get into it. If I'm wrong, we'll just edit that out of the video, right? Okay, so anyways, like with any other video, please comment below what you think about the video. Let me know who you're excited for in the upcoming season of season 2 of Street Fighter 6. Who do you expect to be in the following season? I'm hoping for Sagat and Viper. I think that would be amazing. Even Fei Long, I'd be happy with a reunion with my boy Fei. Why not? But those 3 characters for sure, please. That would be amazing. This game would be excellent with Viper, Fei, and Sagat. I couldn't be any happier. All right, so just like the video, comment below, let me know what you think. If you have any ideas on videos you'd like me to touch on. And let's get started. Cool, bang, let's boogie. All right, element number 10. Any offensive game plan requires leaving gaps for the opponent to give you something to punish. However, it's essential to prevent opponents from picking apart your preferred waiting spots, because then they'll never hand over what you want. Occasional chaos is a good way to fill some of those hesitant pauses with feints to mess with your opponent's head, making it harder for them to read your game plan. It takes more than a technically sound game plan to stay ahead of the field and win consistently. Key word, consistently, right? Remember, I mentioned a lot that what we want to raise is our floor and not focus too much on our ceiling, okay? Because our ceiling is our capacity. When we're in absolute flow state, everything's going according to plan. That's our capacity, but in order to be a consistent player, we have to elevate our floor, which means less blunders. So if you ever like pay attention or play chess, you'll notice like the better players are really good at minimizing mistakes. And similarly, that's what you'd want to do in a fighting game. You can just beat players by just making less mistakes than them, right? Somebody can be more skilled than you, know better combo routes and things like that, but just because they make a lot of mistakes and they're sluggish, you can punish them and capitalize on their imprecision and win rounds simply off of that. Okay, no matter how dominant or reliable your tactics may be, they can still be neutralized by an opponent who sees them coming. I've mentioned before, in war, deception is key, right? So you do not want to give up information. You don't want to give your opponent any idea of what your intentions are. Therefore, the last missing piece of the strategic puzzle is misdirection, or as some players call it, randomness. Bum, bum, bum. Oh my god, I must be a scrub. We're gonna teach you guys how to be scrubs today, okay? Surprise. Okay, element 31. A few times per round, do something completely meaningless yet relatively safe for no reason other than to distract your opponent. For instance, if your character has a poke which dominates a certain matchup, skilled players will try to make it whiff as they advance to close the gap. Avoid falling into the trap of abusing your best move at every opportunity. Pick out a few key moments and randomly whiff a jab instead of pressing the obvious button. You won't believe how often this tricks opponents into walking right into your low fierces. Okay, let's check this out. Ah, that was nice. Okay, let's watch it. Let's rewatch this, right? From this pack. So we're watching this from Rolento's point of view, okay? I'm surprised I even know that's Rolento with this fucking negative 360p visual on my screen. My eyes are bleeding just from looking at this. Somebody call an ambulance. But yes, that's Rolento, as you can tell by this blotch of pixels that are combined so uniquely. Okay, but you see, instead of him abusing this crouching fierce at every single opportunity, right? Sometimes he just does the jab feint like he does, I believe, right there, right? He didn't whiff it there. I mean, that probably would have whiffed right there, but okay, right here, perfect example, right? He didn't do it right away, and you notice Sako was blocking. She's blocking this. So if he had done it, she would have blocked it. Okay, cool, right? That's loss of tempo on his part, because now he's negative for X amount of frames possibly, right? And then she can kind of just maneuver for those amount of frames and probably set something up, who knows, right? But him using the feint kind of throws off the anticipation that she has, because if you think about all the moments leading up to this, how many times did he do the crouch fierce, right? So here he uses this feint, and look what she does. After she sees the feint, she's like, oh, huh, okay, and then she tries to walk up and she gets tagged. Okay, so you don't always have to do the right thing when you need to. You can actually leverage the threat of the right thing to set up the right thing, right? So it's like, I'm not gonna do this option, I'm gonna do something else to increase the chances of that option working. Okay, because the problem with tools is once they're really strong, they become predictable. Okay, so when you play expert players and they're used to this rhythm, this pace, this type of intensity with this tool, they're like, man, I've already seen this shit. I've seen this dozens of times. I already know what this is. And then they have this timing to intercept your option, and then that can fluster a player, especially if they know their option is strong. They're like, wait, why am I losing? This doesn't make sense. Something's wrong, Alfred. Alfred, get the Batmobile. You're gonna figure out what the fuck's going on over here. Okay, so it's good to sometimes just give your opponent enough rope for them to hang themselves. Okay, and this is one of those ways of doing that, is by introducing feints in moments where a common strong tactic is applied. Okay, so you can do this with anything. So we can take this to Street Fighter 6. So let's say I'm playing Jamie. Okay, Jamie, one of his best buttons, stand meeting kick. This button is ridiculous. Why? Because he can drive rush cancel this. It's a true block string, right? He can convert this on hit into some pretty good stuff, right? Confirmable. It's a really good button. You can wreck off of it. Okay, but you don't want to be predictable with it, right? So if you keep entering this range and firing this off in this game, what do you think is going to happen? All of a sudden you're going to come across this one player, right, that is just like, oh shit, right? Because you just keep walking up and being predictable, and you're like, damn, this guy's just perfect pairing me randomly. Sometimes it is random, but a lot of times it's because they're picking up on your pace, your rhythm. Okay, so when you walk up into this range and you don't do anything, and you breaking your own rhythm, right? You've heard Bruce Lee mention that before. This is one of the ways of doing that, as you walk up and you use something else, something with a different pace or, you know, timing, right? You can even walk up and do a different poke altogether. But I would be careful with stuff like this, because usually if people are parrying, they're looking for some sort of change in the animation. So you know, I would just instead just use quicker attacks to bait out the parry or something like that, right? So that's like a Street Fighter 6 application for this. If you notice somebody keeps trying to react to your animations or your pokes, just walk up and, like, you know, whiff this and then just walk up and throw them. Okay, so it requires some gall. You got to be confident when you do these types of things. But so in like a Footsies metaphor or context, you can walk up and you whiff this, and let's say this player is used to you walking up and pressing this, and instead of doing parry, they're just, I don't know, maybe they're doing this, right? So, you know, I walk up and I keep getting hit with this. I'm like, damn, you know, I'm trying to walk up and I'm getting intercepted. So what you could do is you could walk up and you can whiff a button that kind of looks similar, right? So what I would do is something like stand short. Stand short looks somewhat similar to the stand medium kick, right? Because of the way his torso is extended high and upwards, right? It's not exactly the same, but if I went from crouching, this is the key, is when you transition into the move, if I do this, I do this, I do this, you can't really quickly discern what is what, right? I think we can all agree with that. So when you go from crouch to this or to this or to this, the opponent's not really gonna know. They just have to commit to it. So if I am walking and blocking, I can go walk, block this, see? And then I could go, you know, just me walking and blocking and standing might be enough to just bait out that poke, and then I can get like a whiff punish, see? Okay. So I could walk up, whiff a short, maybe, something like that. And you just mess with their reactions, okay? And when you mess with somebody's reactions, now it causes there to be distrust with what their natural instinct is. And once you've done that, that's when you start to defeat your enemy, right? With very little effort involved. It's when they start fighting themselves, that's when you win. That's how you really want to win, right? Because that's what that's the consistency I'm talking about. If you know how to make a player fight themselves, you do it by either forcing them to play through a weakness, or to try to disguise a weakness or whatever, or you use their strength against them, right? Or maybe you suspend them from their strengths, right? Whatever it is, every player is different. So some people are really good at playing without relying on their strengths. Some people, they need their strengths. Some people, if you cause them to fight themselves because their strength is kind of sabotaging them, like let's say somebody has really good reactions, but now their reactions are getting messed with and manipulated. Now they're not comfortable winning or playing like that because they rely so much on winning a certain way, right? A more dynamic player is going to adapt and be prepared and just move with the ebb and flow of the match. But certain players that are top players, everybody has like a preference, right? But that's why there's hierarchies within the top player realms. Like certain players, they're top players, but they are very like obsessed with one style or one path of play, right? And then those are the players you can like abuse these type of things on, right? You find out what it is that they rely on and you take it away from them, whatever, right? So this is kind of like a form of that. All right, element 32. Another way to escape predictable scripts and flowcharts is by mixing up your timing, by skipping beats rather than pressing different buttons. Walk into crouching medium kick range, but don't press it right away. Hang around that distance for a second to lure your opponent into a false sense of security. Then tag them once they get restless. The next time you claim that spot, they won't expect you to attack right away. Took an example of this. Ah, okay. Oh, that was so fast. Look how fast that happened. Let's look at this, right? So we're watching this from the red Ken's perspective, okay? So I'm gonna slow this down. Put this to like 0.25. Okay, you see how he crouched and didn't do anything, right? Usually if you see the crouch, they're gonna crouching medium kick, right? But you see he didn't do it, and you see, and the next time he enters that range, the opponent's already like, okay, he's not doing what I'm expecting, and that's the moment you hit them. Okay, little things like that. So what would that look like in a Street Fighter 6 sense? So let's say I am playing a character with a really good low forward. Jamie is one of them. So, you know, low forward drive rush is really strong. So when you play certain players that have really good spacing, you have to be very careful with timing, because if you just walk into the range, they know they're gonna just do this. They're gonna perfect parry, and then, you know, what we just talked about is gonna happen, where you walk up, you try to poke the person, right? And then you get bodied because you were predictable. You just walked up and immediately did that, right? But instead, you walk up and you can walk up and crouch, because look, remember, the same thing I talked about with going from crouching to standing when we were talking about stand short, stand forward, or stand light kick, stand medium kick. That's another way you can call those moves. The same thing we talked about, we could do it inversely. So standing to crouching. So if I go standing to crouch, nothing. Standing to crouch, medium kick, right? Crouch short, right? All they see is the crouch. They just see that. So they might fire off an assumption right away. So you can take advantage of that. Okay? And you can take advantage of that with timing. Timing, right? With maybe differentiating with another poke. Maybe tempo with movement, right? stuff like that. So adding more variety will make it harder for your opponent to pinpoint exactly what your intentions are. So when you walk into this range and you don't do the thing that they're expecting right away, good players adapt so quickly, right, that they'll see it and they say, oh, he's not doing it. And then when you see a change in their behavior, it indicates that they're likely going to change themselves. And that's when you would intercept them. So then the next time, let's say that, you know, this Guile does this and then I don't do anything. He's like, okay. So then now the Guile's thinking, all right, well, he's not doing anything, right? Next time I enter that range, I would actually do it. Okay. Hopefully I don't get perfect parried. That would be kind of tragic. But, you know, you'd walk up and then you do that and then you get started. Okay. You tag them, you know, you get all your corner carry and whatnot, right? Element 33. Every now and then, especially when an opponent presumes you'll become ultra defensive, simply throw caution to the wind and go on an offensive tear. In addition to some seriously nasty mix-ups, you'll need the element of surprise to pull this off, which means grasping a good sense of match flow before you flip the switch. Okay, this is a powerful element. Okay, this is very powerful. Let's watch this. Oh, this is actually the perfect example. I literally was going to talk about this, but they already showed it. I want you guys to watch this clip, and why do you think this is an unexpected moment for the Balrog to go on such an offensive tear? Why is it? Why do you guys think? Why do you guys think this is like a time where suddenly Balrog going on the offensive is likely going to surprise his opponent? Easy chip out for Chun. Yeah, ideally, right. He is so low on health. But let me go even further. Let's talk about the psychology of that, right? Because that's important. Gotta talk about the nuance. Because I don't want to give you guys a fish. I want to teach you how to fish. That low health usually triggers fight or flight, right? Or freeze. Okay. But mostly people will freeze or try to run away when they have low health, because usually this type of low health causes people to try to play perfect, right? This type of pressure from the meter causes people to be like, right? And then they just kind of spread themselves thin, right? And they try to cover everything, and then they end up covering nothing. Right? Imagine you only have so much icing for the cake, and you're trying to get it on every part of the cake, but it's like, why wouldn't you just put it maybe on the surface of the cake, right? Or something like that, right? But you try to spread it too thin, and then it just looks kind of weird. Okay, so it's the same thing here, where you try to cover everything and you're not as effective, right? Your mind is scattered, and you're not going to be able to have the presence of mind to optimize the things you need to optimize or put the right amount of pressure. You know what I'm saying? So you got to be mindful of this. So this is why when you see, like, when you play against top players, let's say like Idom is a classic example of this. If you were to corner Idom and you knock him down, right? You knock down Idom, and he has level 3 with Manon, right? And you walk back, right? And then you pressure him, and then at the end of your pressure, he dashes up at you. The reason why he does that is because he notices that when you knocked him down, you were passive. And then when he sees you're passive in that one instance, he confirms it as if it's the rest of the situations you're going to be passive also, right? So then he's like, oh, you're passive here, you're probably going to be passive in this situation too. And then he dashes up at you after he just blocks your buttons, and you're like, wait, what the fuck, right? And it's probably likely to do with that level 3 threat. Okay, because you're trying to bait out a reversal or whatever. So that's like a situation where, like, if you watched Idom is really good at doing this. Okay, it's like sensing that ebb and flow, and then when he notices the contradictions, he notices, oh, there's a shift in psychology, and then that's where he'll strike. Okay, so now let's see. Element 34. Oh, before we go to element 34, let me backtrack a little bit. So another example of element 33 is doing this in this instance when you're in Burnout, because most people, when they're in Burnout, they start doing this and this and this. They play passive. But if all of a sudden you seem like you're selling the idea of being passive, but then you become aggressive, it could really throw people off. So then they're like, wait, what the hell? Because there's an expectation of which that you're going to try to survive. You see that word survival? And then you're going to abandon the strategies and the things that were working just to make it to the other end of this burnout situation. So that way you can replenish your drive gauge and then fight again. Okay? So this is actually a really good spot to be more aggressive. This is why Noah the Prodigy is really good when he's in burnout, because people don't expect him to be so aggressive when he's in burnout. Right? It's not to say that he's always aggressive, but he is also willing to be aggressive. So you still have to treat him like the same player, which most people are not used to when they deal with people that are in burnout. You understand? All right, so 34. Is anything less effective on paper than Wake Up, Crouch, and Light Punch? That's why it wreaks havoc on cautious players' plans. Use sparingly, of course. Yeah, see, this is similar to what we just talked about. Okay, so let's see. Gen hits Geef. Ah, that's no good. Yikes. So this is why this works. Okay, so he's obviously trying to bait something and he gets hit here. So in the time that he confirmed, oh, nothing happened, he then went to go do something, got hit. And in those moments, that's what causes like a mental shock. Like, wait, what the fuck? When you hit somebody on a mental transition period, that is the strongest time to insert any sort of like high risk option, because the player is very likely to not be aware because you literally caught them on a mental change of focus. You know what I'm saying? So they have to realize, think about it. When somebody changes, they're obviously doing something because they think it's going to work, right? But since they've already committed to doing the thing, they mentally have an expectation of what the situation is supposed to look like. But when you interrupt them, they're like, wait, what? And in that wait, what period? That's when you see Geef just jumps. See? Like, why did the Gen just do Crouch and Light Punch here? Because he's mind fucked for X amount of frames. He's just like, wait, what? Right? Sorry, that's Crouch Strong. Maybe I think that's Crouch Strong. But regardless, he counter pokes because of the wait, what? And then look, he stands up, does an anti-air. He's confused as fuck right here. Okay? And that all stemmed from that crouching jab that was used defensively. All right? Element 35. Just do lots of weird, confusing things. When the tide of battle has turned against you and nothing seems to be going your way, try repeatedly stomping the ground at mid-range. If it breaks your opponent's rhythm and makes them question themselves even for a split second, it could buy you the opening you need. This is Juggernaut. Oh, it's Earthquake, right? Is that what his name is? That's Earthquake. Oh, that was gross, bro. Oh, that's so... Oh, look at how obnoxious that is. Look at this. Oh, he did roll into super. That was so good. But it took his attention away from that as a possibility, because he's like, what the hell is he doing? What? Wait, what? And then that small slippage, he took advantage of it. Okay. All right, so let's see. It's virtually impossible to hide all of your patterns from observant players. No matter how clever and unpredictable you think you are, someone out there will succeed in identifying and exploiting your habits. You must find ways to mask your thoughts in order to protect your most potent tactics from being turned against you. Whatever strategy you adopt in any given matchup, mix it up with a little freestyle creativity to throw your opponent off the trail. Resist the urge to coast on autopilot. Force yourself to try something new every round. It doesn't need to be unsafe. It doesn't need to be complicated, but it does have to be unexpected. Let's see. What is the unexpected here? What the hell? Oh, this is hilarious. Bro, he just got comboed by the 92 accord. That's crazy. Bruh. That's hilarious. All right, so that concludes the video for today, guys. If you guys enjoyed the video, please let me know below. How'd you thought about it? What's your favorite element so far out of the element 10 video? Let me know what you would like to see as a topic on one of our streams, and I will make it happen. As always, I appreciate you for your time, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.